Hello everybody, Disciple here once again with Overwatch Curios. So you've probably noticed that there's a pretty big divide between the high-ranked pro players and the average Joe who just plays for fun, or someone who's even starting out in competitive in their quest to advance. Now, while some people are just better at shooters than others, there are some tangible, quantifiable tricks, tips, and strategies that anyone can learn and train in to up their game to that very next level. Now, pro players use these tricks and their own personal skill to balance out that top-ranking mentality and gameplay. Now, that inherent skill is up to every individual player, but we've got some awesome aiming tricks that Grandmaster players use themselves that you can use to train in and hopefully up your skill to that very next level. So let's check them out. Now, lots of players want to master those hit scan heroes like McCree, 76, and Widowmaker, which are all in that category and are typically what we think of, even though there are a few other hit scan heroes on the roster. Now, we all know that headshots make pretty much all the difference, right? However, aiming for the head of a moving target with a small hitbox can be really difficult and hard to train. The Grandmaster players have pretty much figured out how to get the most consistent headshots possible. They aim for the neck. The neck is definitely the best spot to aim for when gunning for headshots. It still counts as a headshot if you hit your target, and it seriously reduces the risk of a miss altogether when you're aiming for the throat. Normally, when you aim for the head, you either hit the head itself or you miss your target entirely. Imagine a circle around where you are trying to aim for, and that's kind of your margin for error, the places that you could miss. If the center of your circle is directly on the head, that means there's a ton of space to the right, left, and up above where you could miss entirely, but if you place that center of the circle on the neck, you still have just as much of a chance essentially to hit the head, while also being able to hit the body if you do go off course for the most part. It's a great way to adjust for player movement, both your own natural movement of the mouse accounting for any potential error, as well as your opponent trying to move around. You get a lot more vertical room for error, and in the worst case, pretty much you get a body shot, which on most characters is still going to kill them incredibly quickly. Now, a technique that's huge in CSGO in particular is pre-aiming and prediction, and they're also extremely relevant and useful in Overwatch as well. The basic principle to pre-aiming is to have your cursor in the most likely spot that the enemy will be once they round a corner or obstacle. This, of course, is done while you are in cover and can't see the enemy directly because, of course, they're behind the wall. Now, predictions like this come with time, map knowledge, situational awareness, and a general skill in correctly assuming where the enemy will be most likely at any given time in the local area around you. It can be a tricky one to master, however, getting your cursor to the target is the majority of the time that you'll take when killing them, and shaving off a second or two will not only help your game, but deny the enemy shots on you or anyone else on your team, protecting yourselves, and it also gives them a little bit less time to react or try to dodge, since if they're just coming around a door, they have no idea what's in the room ahead. This is especially useful with heroes who have hit scan or otherwise skill shot based weapons and abilities, as aiming properly is half the battle. So you can use this on Pharah as well to make sure that you are already shooting your rockets exactly where your enemy is going to be coming out of. Pre-firing can almost be more useful on projectile DPS, but on Widow, having your cursor exactly where the head will be can give you some insanely instant headshots, especially if you know exactly the proper height and position of the characters that will be coming around that door. Abilities like Hanzo's Sonar Arrow or Widow's Infrasight definitely help this, but you can also use techniques like listening for footsteps or trying to judge around when a character respawned and how far they can get in that time. A lot of this just comes with time, of course, but if you do keep this in mind while you're playing, I think you'll improve a lot faster than just how you would normally if you're not actively thinking about this pre-firing. Now, we all get excited to land the kill, to deny the objective from the enemy team, or just to pull off a sweet ultimate wombo combo. Now, with all that excitement, sometimes we forget to take a second and aim our weapons properly because we're just so caught up in the rush of the fight. How many times have you gone for a flick shot or some reaction move and completely missed, and then every time after you miss again? You almost always have a lot more time to aim than you think, and one clean shot is almost always better than 3 messy ones. What I'm telling you is to take a little bit of time when you aim, especially when you're in a high pressure situation, since one shot that hits is going to do a lot more than 2 shots that miss, unless you're playing Reaper. You'll notice when watching Grandmasters and pros that they usually take a little bit of extra time to properly line up their shot and land the kill. Widow doesn't need to instantly flick to every single hero to immediately kill them. It looks really cool when she does, and it's really strong if she can do it, but most of the time you'll end up missing. Most Widow makers take a little bit of time to line up the perfect shot, and the reason they don't get killed for it is because they're very good at taking cover and moving around in between kills, and they know exactly when they're free to look. Now, taking this extra time to aim is easier said than done, but take a look at any high tier player and you'll start to see the trend of them being able to focus and aim a little bit more properly and calmly in fights, even if it means that they're not constantly firing 100% of the time. I definitely know that while playing someone like McCree, I've completely missed out on a Genji kill because every single time my shot was just a little bit off, but if I just waited for his double jump to complete, I know exactly where he's going to be stuck, or if he's completely falling, I know exactly where he's going to land, and taking that second to line up that shot instead of aiming at them entirely across the way can be the difference between a kill or not. So we talked a little bit about predictions and pre-firing a bit ago with the pre-aiming technique. Now this is kind of similar in principle, but it's not exactly the same. Essentially, you should be aiming at where your opponents are going to be, not where they're standing. Of course, this seems pretty basic, but a lot of the times we miss out because we get so caught up in seeing the enemy and needing to kill them immediately. Now, it requires a visual line of sight with the enemy and the ability to anticipate and predict where they're going to move to and juke, since even with hit scan shots, a lot of people will try to strafe as a way to dodge, and there's a little bit of a delay between their movement and how quickly you can react to it. Say you're playing McCree and someone is dodging left and right erratically, instead of trying to track them the whole way, just pick one place on their path that they're going to run into and hit them as soon as they're in there. Either it's somewhere where they're going to reverse direction or somewhere where they'll cross right in front of you. It's like when you're going skeet shooting. I don't know if any of you guys have ever done it, but I have before, and when you're trying to hit that clay pigeon up in the air, you don't shoot at it when it's rising up or when it's falling down, but you shoot it just when it's lost all of its vertical momentum, and it almost seems to hang in the air for a minute because it's not moving up or down, and it makes it much easier to aim at. Players are basically the same, so you can shoot at them when they're jumping or when they're changing directions, or when you know there's one place they have to run in a straight line. Now, this game is really fast. Players move quickly with the use of speed boosts, blinks, and teleport mechanics, as well as flight and dashing. Now, being able to shoot at where someone's going to be is a really important skill to master, but it's also incredibly difficult. Each hero kind of has to be analyzed, and you have to know exactly how they can move, but since there's 24 heroes in the roster, that's really no small task. Now, Overwatch has a relatively high time to kill as well for most heroes compared to other games where a lot of your different guns or different heroes can one-shot. So having your shot predicted and lined up and getting that first hit, headshot, or knockback can completely turn the 1v1 in your favor, since you're going to have a little bit of extra time to kill them than someone else. Not only do you have to know how your enemies are going to move, but you also have to know how exactly you're going to kill people. That sounds kind of weird, but what I mean is, when you're playing Widow, you kill people in a much different method than when you play Hanzo. Even though you're both looking for headshots, the amount of time it takes to hit them, the exact places that you aim, and the best distances that you're strong at are all different, which is why I feel like one-tricks are so strong at the moment. Not only are they rewarded a little disproportionately in terms of MMR, these people who just have such a deep knowledge and understanding of their heroes are going to generally be a lot more successful than someone who switches around and tries to flex into different roles that they don't spend hundreds of hours on. Now, speaking of practice, when it comes to perfecting all the skills with your aiming, it's important to make sure that you have a goal in mind or some sort of technique you're specifically working on. Making significant strides in skill on focused aiming techniques is absolutely imperative to getting past the crowd and into the top tiers of the Overwatch ladder. You should never just simply practice your aiming. Practice in specific, concrete ways that have a goal or direction so you're sure to get some results for it. Take the time to sit down and say, okay, today I'm going to practice headshots while aiming at the neck, and find a technique that's just right for you. There are a lot of ways that players practice these focus goals. For example, custom matches with certain elements set up can help focus your attention, like putting headshots only and having your opponents be Zaryas or Annas who can't headshot you, but are still a little distracting and move around a lot, so it's pretty tough to aim at. There are also practice-style custom games that others have set up for players to come in and do one or two things to practice on other players instead of bots, like putting widows only and headshots only, so you can all practice sniping each other. If you have friends who want to play competitively with you, setting up scrims or otherwise practicing together in 1v1s can help you kill two birds with one stone. Not only are you both improving, but you're also improving your abilities to communicate and focus on developing your skills with a team in case you ever wanted to play with a pickup team or professional team as well. You could even just use casual play to focus on new heroes and develop your skills if you want to, and focus on, taking time to breathe and line up shots, even if it takes a little bit longer than it should for now, and focus on getting better and faster every time, since you really shouldn't worry that much about how you perform in quick match compared to competitive. So many players see pros and grandmasters at this unattainable level of glory in the competitive gaming scene. And now for some of the top players, it might be the case that they have some natural skill that puts them at the top, but most of a player's skill level can be controlled by the player themselves with the right mentality, motivation, and practice of skills like the ones we've talked about in this video. There's such a term as rank 1 mentality in that you have to think and believe that you are capable of being at that level of play before you can actually climb the competitive ladder, and make sure that every single thing you do makes you more of a rank 1 player than you were before. Well, that's enough from me now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'd really appreciate a like and subscribe if you did for more videos in the future. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.